Hey, my wonderful, wonderful people. A pleasant afternoon to you. Yes, my laryngitis here, but I will see how best I can do this video. So I saw a video of a young fellow, young student at the McGrath High School, and apparently they didn't want to let him in the school because his hair was unkempt, meaning it wasn't combed. In fact, when he was talking and turning his head to the side, at one point, it looked really bushy, and I remember back in the day, no, I'm not saying this is about this fellow, when sometimes people would have their hair unkempt and bushy like that. I remember they would scrape the hair off, take off the entire hair, because sometimes, I don't know if sometimes it gets very dirty or whatever it is, or greasy. Lice would take up the hair, so his hair really looked unkempt and it was not combed, and so on was high. And every organization has its right to hold to principles and standards, because if we don't do that, then we will have a disorderly society. We have to do that. Even with the most liberal home, their liberalism, their sense of freedom has to have some level of boundary, because if it does not, then people would be unalived. That's how far having no boundary will take you. And he said it is his nationality. And I said, let me look at the etymology of the word nationality. I know what the meaning is, but I wanted to understand, because I said to myself, let me see the correlation with that link, that comment about his hair being his nationality, because there are people who are born in different countries with kinky hair, what we call, Jamaicans have always said bobo head or boro head, kaya head, when they are coarse, the black hair. So I was trying to see what he meant by nationality. So the word nationality has its roots in the Latin language and developed through various linguistic influences over time. So the the root word natio or natio, derived from natus, meaning born, meaning born. So in Latin, natio originally referred to birth or race of people. So when he says it's its nationality, there isn't really no correlation with his hair being unkempt, relating or correlating to nationality, So, and I'm saying this to say that I'm wondering what it is that the students are really learning, because he began creating not so much a brawl or a great vitriol, but a sort of embarrassment, to the school, bringing the school to the fore publicly, and perhaps getting supporters on something that is really weightless in the sense that it really does not carry down the moral and the standards of the school, but it really carries down the moral and the standards of that fellow. Because I don't think he really looked back at the video. Maybe in years to come, if he was to look back at that video, he may think the first thing that may come to him is, boy, I wonder if any lice is in that young man's head. I wonder if his hair is washed. I wonder if he had combed his hair for many days. And again, the nationality would not come into play here, because nationality speaks to a race of people, which I knew. I just said, let me just go and double check, because I don't know everything, and there are people who are born in other countries with kinky hair like that, so it really doesn't speak to nationality. Nationality wouldn't relate in this sense because of his hair. And the reason, and even after he got, you could see a sort of a splicing of the video, like, or a before and after, I don't know what you would call it. Like he went and he kind of groomed the hair, and they still sent him home with a white slip. And he said he cannot figure out why. He said because of the video, and nobody's saying anything. So he's contradicting himself. He said it's because of the video, then said nobody's saying anything. They said it because of the video. You disrespected the mantra of the school. You disrespected the school. You already know the principles and the teachings of the school. And every organization has its right, has its right to say, okay, I know it's an argument that some people don't hold true to. They don't believe in throwing out a child if they wear locks or if their pants is tight or whatever it may be. It's about education. But education is not necessarily only academic. It is also about social principles. I remember back in the day when I was going to school, you know, they would say, ladies, do not walk on the lawn. Ladies, make sure your dress is, you know, looking proper and ironed properly. They would teach you the social way of living, because they wanted you to be able to be a part of society as you become an adult. That nobody has to, as and when you reach in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s, 50s, 60s, going on, somebody has to teach you as though you're learning how to ride a tricycle, the standards of living, the basic way of life. Like they wonder if they pulled you out of the same wilderness or forest that Tarzan and Jane were in. It is a shame and a disgrace. The schools are under siege, you know. And notwithstanding, you do have administrators and teachers who do not follow the code of conduct in how to treat people with honor, with decency, and with respect, and not majoring in minor things and minoring in major things. Do not get me wrong. But when I looked at the condition of his head, I was flabbergasted. There was a fellow beside him that, you know, I wondered if it was the Penedo thing, because it seemed as if he didn't appreciate his own nationality, his own birth color. You know, he seemed like a bleach out fellow to me when I looked at it. Somebody who was speaking and I could hardly understand what he was saying, because I like, you know, not a structured sentence. You know, the fellow struggled to speak even when he was giving his own tirade of the whole nationality and the condition of his hair, the saga of his hair. I can hardly believe what is going on, because some of the parents of these students are from, I'm sure, from my era or perhaps an older era, and they're from the era where you dare not disregard, you dare not dishonor, you dare not disrespect the school in any way, form, or fashion. And to be showing the name of the school on the outside, to say the school will not let you in because of the condition. Your hair looked horrible, young man. Maybe they don't want to tell you the truth. Your hair looked horrible. I wondered if your hair had lice in it. And I'm not saying this as a disrespect. It looked bad. It really looked unkempt. It looked as if you wanted to be really go under, you know, maybe dry cleaned. Maybe because washing it on the back maybe would not have helped. It looked bad. And you had the audacity to come and talk about it is your birth. It is your nationality. How does that relate to the school? Say, keep your nationality groomed. If you're going to use the word nationality, keep your nationality groomed. They simply ask you to groom your hair. Because when I looked at the video, at one point when you turn your head, one section looked black, one section looked greasy and brown. And as far as I know, they teach human beings. They want to look, when they look at you, they're looking at a human being. And some other videos which I don't even want to go into here, say, that's saying that this particular student tends to give a lot of trouble. But the schools are under siege. And what is happening is that we are treating students as how we treat politicians, meaning we hold no one accountable. So when you get that Doberman bite, that German Shepherd bite, that Rottweiler bite, bully bite, all in one, you know, we shouldn't complain when they grab for the throat, when these dogs come and they grab for the throat. That is what will happen when you do not hold people accountable. And then you say the Bible is not true for some of you, because it says, if you spare the rod and spoil the child, basically what it is saying, you're going to be raising and rearing monsters. I could not believe that this is a student. So by his language, how he looked, and the fellow who joined in with him. The schools are under siege. Some of the administrators and teachers are under siege because they're not being held, the students are not being held accountable. And we have another topic when we're dealing with teachers and administrators who who have, you know, committed infractions. That's another. But we're dealing with this here. Anyway, guys, you know what to do. Read TikTok and YouTube. Subscribe. Give one of them.